you have to admit it is getting out of hand how much Disney Lucasfilm is trying to make the Acolyte actually seem enjoyable and good. It's ridiculous. Look, they have put article after article out. You know that they are paying these outlets to say, hey, look, this show is awesome. Make sure you tell the fans how great this show is. Well, the latest one is trying to reveal or say that the big reveal in the latest episode of The Acolyte was awesome. That's right. Collider has put out and says The Acolyte proves that a good twist doesn't have to come out of nowhere. Like, come on. Come on. We have seen twists in movies for decades. For decades, we've seen good twists. I mean, M. Night Shyamalan, who is maybe the twist master. I mean, not really. Going as far back as his big twist in The Sixth Sense, which was fantastic. You want to talk about the audience has gotten smart over the years when it comes to films because of people like M. Night Shyamalan. Christopher Nolan is another one who likes to put twists in his projects, in his films. Jonathan Nolan has done it, even with things like Westworld. But here's the thing. A good twist does, it does kind of need to somewhat come out of nowhere. And what he's saying, and what this article says, it's kind of ridiculous. First off, we got to go through this article a little bit here. The first line is just absolutely absurd. What happens in this week's episode, which was episode 5, is something no one saw coming. Has a shocking twist unlike any other in live-action Star Wars. But what surprised people wasn't really the information that was revealed. After all, many fans had already guessed that the stranger was the Sith Master, was in fact Khmer. What left audiences in shock was actually how his identity was revealed. Not even in the wildest dark side dreams would anyone have imagined what transpired between Sith Lord and the team of 8 Jedi in the jungle of Kofar. First off, if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're somebody who understands Star Wars, we know that the Sith have been gone for a millennium. So we can't sit there and act like that all these Jedi were going to be able to survive. What was it, a dozen Jedi? Everybody expected that these Jedi were going to die. So to sit there and say, nobody expected these Jedi to die. Okay, first off, that's ridiculous. Secondly, I've been saying this for weeks, since like episode 1. This show is painfully predictable. Painfully predictable. Okay, it's painfully. It goes on, there were countless hints dropped throughout the first half of the show that Khmer was the stranger. In episode 2, he mentions that peace is a lie. It's a Sith code line as he overpowers May. In episode 4, he lets on that he knows May's master in ways she couldn't. It wasn't even just those lines that he says. It's just, there was no other person it could be. There was nothing that they ever let onto through the writing to make you believe that it could be anybody else. That's just poor planning, poor writing. Like, here, I'm going to show you something that I posted on X today. A good twist should have the groundwork laid out in front of the audience without the audience realizing it. That's very important. The writers will then misdirect the audience with clever writing to make them believe that the reveal will be something or someone else. That is good writing. Yes, those lines that they put in there, that is good. That's fine. You can put Khmer saying those lines or having those little moments with May to make you like, oh, that's interesting. And you may realize that, or some smart Star Wars fans would realize that. But when it comes to the end result, you want to, as a writer, give other options that there could be someone else. That's what good writing is. Otherwise, it's not a twist. There's no twist there. It's just, hey, we're revealing in episode 2 that this is the bad guy. That's not a twist. And that is just, inevitably the problem that there is with this show. It goes, it was so obvious that most of us thought the series could only be leading us on. Indeed it was, but not with the information about the stranger's identity. In episode 5, an exhilarating lightsaber takes most of the episode's runtime. Lightsaber battle, I think they meant to say. Takes most of the episode's runtime, with the stranger facing a team of 8, I guess it was just 8, Jedi by himself, while also trying to capture and kill the twins. His identity is finally revealed when Padawan Jeki, which was ridiculous. Jeki should not have been the one to have such an amazing... I tell you what, there's a guy that posted a video, I don't know what his name is, who broke down the lightsaber battle, and it was pretty ridiculous. Look, I know I made a video the other day. It was like, this episode was not half bad. After watching that video and him pinpointing why the lightsaber battle and this whole fight was terrible, yeah, I'm rescinding what I said there. But again, I did say from the beginning that Jeki should not have been the one that had such an amazing... She's a Padawan, and you had all these Jedi Knights and Masters there to fight him, and why is Jeki the one that's getting the upper hand on him? It made no sense. But, it's her that knocks off his helmet and basically reveals who he is. Shortly after, another fan favorite, Yord, joins the fight, only to be quickly overpowered and killed without a weapon. Ooh... He gets a Man of Steel. Yord gets a Man of Steel. From that moment on, it's clear that the person on screen isn't Khmer. Everything about him changes. His tone of voice, the way he carries himself, his furious moments when fighting. Most of all, though, the stranger has a coldness about him that is most disturbing. And that's the big reveal. That's the big shock. It's not Khmer. It's a Sith Lord. Ooh. The quirky drifter we knew from the previous episodes is now gone. What is shocking? So, again, this article, you can tell... They're just trying to find a way to be like, these writers, because that has been a complaint. Everybody's been complaining about how terrible this show has been written. The shills are trying to say, no, this show is not badly written. Look. And they're trying so hard to show you, this show is not bad. It is poorly written. Nowadays, plot twists are almost a must for respectable TV shows that want to keep the audiences hooked. Shock value is important, perhaps the most common tool to impress people and keep them coming back for more. But while most of us usually think about the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones as an example of a great twist, the Acolyte really goes in an opposite direction. It gave us everything we wanted to know an episode earlier. No, it gave us everything we wanted to know like 3 episodes earlier. With the series entering its second half now, it even felt like it could be running out of plot. No, it definitely ran out of plot 3 episodes ago. Leslie Headland reveals that this was precisely her intention, to run out of plot 3 episodes earlier. She argues that a good twist is not about hiding everything from the audience. You know what? She's not wrong. But the execution was terrible in this show. But she says, a good twist is not about hiding everything from the audience and then throwing it on them, but rather about telegraphing what's going to happen, and then once it does, executing it without an ounce of pity or sentimentality. Of course, the Red Wedding is a very brutally executed, but then there were barely any hints about it. There were hints about the Red Wedding. It's been a while since I watched it, but I do know that there were hints that, that house did not like the Starks, and the Starks did not like that house, and there was stuff there. Do we think it was going to happen that way? From what I remember, no. But it's been 10 years since I watched the Red Wedding, so I'd have to go back and rewatch and see how the build-up is to that. But again, like I said here, a good twist should have the groundwork laid out in front of the audience without the audience realizing it. The writers will then misdirect the audience with clever writing to make them believe that the reveal will be something or someone else. They did not do that in The Acolyte. After all is said and done, the audience should be able to go back and see these clues and realize that it was there in front of them. But because the writing was good, they were shrugged off or missed. The Acolyte is too poorly written and painfully predictable. I say this constantly to pull any of that off. If anyone in the audience was actually caught off guard Well, that's on you, the audience, not the writing, believe me. Really, when you take a look at the trailers that released, that twist was pretty much given away then. It really was. Let's see. The Acolyte does opposite. Oh, wait, where we go? People talked about Lord Frey being the Acolyte does the opposite, and as Headland says, points out exactly what is going to happen, going to break viewers' souls afterward by killing nearly all major supporting characters, including 2 fan favorites who were thought to be safe because of plot. First off, nobody thought these characters were safe. Not a single person heading into this show did anybody think that these characters were safe, because we know the lore of Star Wars. Everybody has been saying going into this show that everybody has to die. So who thinks that these characters were safe? Nobody. Not a single person thought any of these characters were safe. Poor writing. If you wrote them well and you made the story make sense, then we could think they were safe. We could have thought that. Ah, man. The Acolyte twist also raises questions about the remainder of the season. More than a shocking bloodbath, Night, episode 5, also marks the beginning of a new phase for the Acolyte. The mystery around the stranger's identity is now over. Ooh. But it doesn't mean there is nothing left to happen. In fact, if anything, the twist around his identity raised more questions, not really, for the show to address towards the end of the season. The first Sith encounter in a millennium happened a century before episodes 1, The Phantom. So what happened for it to be covered up? As the menacing and ruthless stranger is his behavior in the day before they cover up alone, so is Star Wars usually presents Sith as a cerebral villains who make no mistake and have long-term plans, but the stranger is far from that. So is he the master or the apprentice at this point in time? He never uses the word apprentice when talking about May, only pupil or acolyte. So could he be the apprentice to a darker and more powerful master? Again, he says he has no name when he was asked who he was. He says, I don't have a name, but Jedi like you may call me Sith. Is he a Sith? Like, that's a problem. And we know that Leslie Headland said that she wants to explore this Sith, but we got 3 episodes left, and what kind of exploration can you really do about the Sith then? Ridiculous. It is ridiculous. The stranger seems to have no master soul for a long time. 16 years prior is when that crap happened on the lesbian island and planet or whatever you want to call it. The Acolyte and setting the events in culmination for the Acolyte in motion, whatever. And the stranger knows everything about it, including its importance. Is he aware how the twins were created, or was he even present? According to the canon timeline, the series takes place 100 years before the Phantom Menace. I thought it was 100 years before the rise of the Empire. Good job, Collider. Remember when Collider was actually a respectable outlet? Remember that? It was like 6-7 years ago, maybe a little more than that. We know that his master to be Darth Plagueis. Wait, what? Phantom Menace. So it should be before Darth. So, according to 100 years before the Phantom Menace, it should be 1 or 2 generations before Darth Sidious shows up. We know his master with Darth Plagueis could be could the stranger be him, or Plagueis' master's Darth Tenebrous? Tenebrous. Is that how you say it? I've never been able to say that name. Is it Tenebrous or I don't know. I'm terrible with weird names in Star Wars. Always have been. So don't come at me. You can if you want to. You can come at me in the comments, whatever. There are 3 episodes left to answer these questions that nobody really cares about, because these aren't questions that anybody cares about, because this show is crap. Again, they failed with the mystery. They failed with the twist. Don't sit there and try and act like the twist was all that important. Look, they screwed this show up. They screwed it up terribly. It is so bad. Let me know your thoughts. Did you think they did a good job with the twist? How does Collider put it? Do you believe that the Acolyte proves that a good twist doesn't have to come out of nowhere? This is so ridiculous. I just don't understand it. I just don't get it. Regardless, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. Hey, become a Slavs Geek Talker. Become a member of the channel for additional member-only videos. It's only $2.99 a month. Not a bad price. Additional, and I'll shout you out on our podcast, on our live shows, weekly live shows. So become a member. It'd be awesome if you did that. With all that said, guys, I will catch you all later.